Hope for Tomorrow is sponsored by Stonegate Center, providing effective Christian drug and alcohol addiction treatment for men.
Welcome to Hope for Tomorrow. I'm Dr. Nina Rios-Doria.
And I'm Todd Baker. You know, we have a great show for you today that we hope will help with getting some balance and peace in your life during this really busy holiday season.
Yep, it is really busy. December 2nd, we're in the midst of it all. And so I think this is a great show for people that are feeling a little anxious and stressed and what that's all about, right? Because we all experience it on some level. And so to create that emotional balance, how we do that, you know, how do we do that?
Yeah, and that's an awesome word to use. I mean, balance.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But we can really separate it out into three different areas. I mean, if you think about it, think about balancing, just balance itself. If you were to take a toothpick and try to balance it, then it would probably not work.
No,
right?
probably not.
Yeah, probably not, unless you use glue or something.
Right.
But if you were to actually expand that and create a pyramid, then it has a really good balance and stable base. And that's what we're going to really break it down into, is try to figure out these three different areas, or actually discuss these three different areas. One being emotional or mental balance. We're also going to talk about the physical aspect of things and how to find physical balance.
Yep.
And then also, of course, your spiritual side as well.
Yeah, and I wonder what, maybe they're all three really at the bottom, at the base all
Could be.
together. I don't know. I wanted to share a story about what I experienced when I didn't have balance in my life and what that felt like. And I think this will help also the viewers. I want you to take, I know we've talked about having a paper and pen next to you. Write down the things that you value in your life right now. I often do this with clients, but I give them a sheet of values and they check them off, like they like the outdoors, or cooking, or whatever, running or exercise, family. And then I say, now write down your to-do list for right now. Like, what does it look like? And that's what I ended up doing when I had a situation in my life when I experienced imbalance. Is I was working full-time, working very long hours, and I was going to school part-time, working on my PhD. And one day I was on the phone with my instructor who got mad at me for taking a class somewhere else, and she was really upset, and she made me cry. Well, I was already going to cry anyway because I was so overwhelmed. And I remember talking with a counselor, because I worked with a bunch of counselors. And he's the one that really made me recognize the importance of what are your values and what is your to-do list. Because if they don't match, and I'm going to show everyone what mine looked like when I did that, it was totally off balance. What my number one priority at the time was school, and that wasn't my value. My value, that was at the bottom of my list. So it's a great awareness, and it helped me to change things up in my life. I got a new job, and gosh, my PhD I took a couple more years to finish it. Why did I have to rush it, right? So that's kind of what I experienced. How did you experience getting balance in your life?
Well, to go along with that, Michael Gerber wrote a great book.
Yeah.
It's really more of a business book, but he takes kind of a psychological perspective, and he coined a phrase called primary aim. And the only way I can really explain primary aim is it's kind of like a compass. It doesn't tell you your end goal, where you want to be, and things like that, but it gives you direction throughout your life. And there are three key questions that he asked, that he posed in that book. The first one is, who do I want to be? So being able to really think about yourself and figure out, who do I want to be? Not who am I right now, but who do I want to be in the future? Second, what kind of life do I want to have? So really taking time to describe your life overall and figure out what you really want to have in your life. And the last one matches exactly what you said. What are your current values? What do you value the most? And just kind of making a list of those things. And when you really spend time thinking about it and processing through those three questions, sometimes that primary aim will pop up. Like for mine, it was really a twofold primary aim. It was about hope and love. And those are key in everything that I do in my practice, in how I see the world, and all of those things.
Well, what I love is that it's good to have like a vision or a goal, or what do you want your life to look like you said, because it helps you get your priorities right. There's a quote by Stephen Covey. He says, don't prioritize your schedule, schedule your priorities. And I love that. I think that's so true. And I think that getting balance in our life, it changes. You know, this was I had this issue before I had a family. But once you have a family, that changes. How do you create balance when you have a kid, or you know, or 2 or 3, right? I remember with my husband and I, gosh, we had our first daughter the first year. Would you believe we were not connecting like we should after having a child?
Oh, really? Wow.
So I'm like, what is going on? And we went to counseling, and I remember the therapist said to us, he said, what is your priority right now? And I responded, well, our child, of course. And he said, no, you are your this marriage should be your priority. And it's so, how important today as we go into the holiday season. We're so busy, we're going to be busy rushing around. Don't forget about what's important. If you have a spouse or significant other, that relationship, how important it is, because if you're happy, your kids are going to be happy too.
And it's important to note with balance, especially emotional health,
Yeah.
You're never going to find perfect balance for a long period of time. You're always going to be off balance somewhere, but we just need to own it and understand it and realize it and try to do something to compensate and to make it better.
Yeah. Well, I think it goes back to all of our shows, the awareness. Recognize that I'm feeling stressed and anxious, or what is that about? And if you don't have balance in your life, we're giving you ways to figure that out for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Primary aim.
That's right.
All right, next up, we're going to talk about our own spirituality. What does that word mean to you? And how can it help you get some peace back in your life? Coming up.
Hope for Tomorrow is sponsored by Stonegate Center, providing effective Christian drug and alcohol addiction treatment for men.
Welcome back to Hope for Tomorrow. As we've been talking about is how to have balance, not just emotionally, but spiritually and physically. And so I want to talk, I think it'd be great to help people kind of figure out, how do you reconnect spiritually if you've kind of lost your way, right? Have you ever experienced that, where your spirituality in your life, it's been challenging?
I think almost everyone that we know of has had to come to some place where they have found their spirituality. But first, let me just explain what we're talking about and what spirituality is not. And we're not talking about a religion. So I want to be real clear about that. When we're talking about spirituality, it's deeper. It's not just whether you know what church you go to or what any of that is. It's really your belief system that really makes a big difference. And we've been talking about that the whole time. We talked about with their values and how that affects the values. And so finding your spirituality can be a long process. For some people, even a lifelong process.
Right. And I wonder how much, there was that popular book years ago, The Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren. And
great book.
When you hear or read a book, something about purpose, we all get interested in that. We all are like, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? And I think with purpose, there is that spiritual connection. And I think when you get spiritually connected, your purpose is revealed in many ways.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, and again, that revelation is what plays a big role. And it's so hard. This is a hard topic. It sounds like it should be easy, but it's difficult because everyone experiences something a little bit different, even in their spirituality, and who they connect with and who they put their faith in. One story I like to share when we're talking about with my clients about faith is the idea of sitting in a couch. I mean, when you and I came on the set today, we didn't get down on all fours and make sure that the legs were working, and we didn't, test everything out.
I saw you doing that.
You did, yeah, I'm sure you did. But really what we did was we came in, we trusted that these were going to hold us up. And so we simply sat down and moved on. And that's what we're talking about with real faith. It's trying to discover, where is your real faith? Where are you really trusting? Whether that be in a person or whether that be in a thing or whatever. And then we need to evaluate that person or thing. Is that really where we need to put our faith? For instance, like I said, we have a faith in this. Well, to hold us up, fine. But to give us hope for the future, I don't think this couch has anything to do with my future. So we need to really discover that and really think about that.
And I'm wondering, so how do we take the steps to discover our spirituality? Maybe there's someone listening at home and they're just like, gosh, I don't really have, I'm not practicing really anything, and they're just kind of lost a little bit. I'm wondering what some ideas we can give to them to help them kind of take the first step.
Well, I'm going to go back to what you already mentioned, what I mentioned. The very first step to me is really evaluating yourself.
Awareness, really.
Being aware
how you're
of your
feeling.
Value system. How you're feeling and your value system. And then from there, you can begin to glean out and figure out other things. I mentioned to you love and hope. And it's not that love and hope is where I put my faith, but that is definitely a value system that I have. It gives me guidance and direction as I make choices through my life.
And I think, look at the people that you spend time with. why do you spend time with those types of people? I mean, I think we're drawn to certain types of people, and what is it about those people that you love? And learn about their faith or spirituality. I think we can all come together and encourage each other along the way too in our faith walk.
And I think that's, again, I love what you said there.
Thank
that
you.
we can all come together. You know, in the world we live in, I think that we tend to segregate out, and we do think about spirituality in terms of religion rather than a relationship. And it's so important to consider the relationship we have with who or what that we put our faith in.
Yeah.
That's the key point of it, is creating that relationship. It's not, again, about the religion that we tend to practice. Now, religions can help give us some guidance, and you know, we will fit in one way or the other, etc. But in the end, it's our personal relationship that makes a big difference.
Yeah, I love how you ended that. It's being aware and looking at the relationships in your life and how that can help you. Okay, great, awesome. All right, when we come back, we're going to be sitting down with Dr. Mary Kerr. She is the founder and medical director of the Care Clinic. Find out why she has such a passion for physical health and why it's so vital to your life. Next. Welcome back to Hope for Tomorrow. We are so excited to have not only my friend, but an expert in the field of what it means to be physically overall healthy, especially as we age, right? So welcome, Mary, for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Well, when I think of physical health, when we were thinking about this segment, I automatically thought of you because this is like your passion. This is what you do. This is how you live your life. So help the viewers think, like give them some ideas of how they can live a physically healthy life. Like what does that look like?
Sure. Well, I think it's important to understand that physical health is the easiest thing to put last.
Yeah.
And especially right now during the holidays, we're busy doing all of these things and not always addressing our physical needs. And it's the most important thing to put first. It's your most valuable asset. It is critical for vitality and for how much you can give back and for energy and quality of life. So physical health is really the most important thing in my opinion, and that's why I practice wellness. So it's a little bit different. Most doctors practice a particular disorder, and my practice is all about achieving vitality and prevention. So taking steps that enable people to think more clearly and to have more energy and to, you know, be a better employee or boss or a better mother or father. So wellness is really the key. And I think that as we move forward with medicine, the future of medicine is really prevention and wellness, not symptom management.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And right now it might be intervention because it's the holidays, right? And when there's so much yummy food in front of us. And so people might be watching going, really, I don't want to know if what does that look like? What's the first step they can take to live that kind of healthy lifestyle that you just described?
Well, I'll just give you a little tip. So a lot of people have been taught that breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
Yeah.
And that may be true when you're growing, but as an adult, if you're indulging in the holidays and you try and do it, you know, with moderation, but one thing you can do the next day is actually you can fast. And fasting is actually, you know, it's been around, we can read about it in the Bible, it's prehistoric, you know, it's a part of our ancestors incorporated that into their lives, not necessarily willingly, but it was a part of life. And that is something that I teach my patients quite frequently is, you know, it's okay to fast a couple of days of the week. So for example, a 500 calorie day, 2 days a week actually has tremendous scientific research behind it. And it slows down inflammation. It gives you more energy. It's great for your brain and mental clarity because it makes you a little bit ketotic, which means your body is producing ketones that are actually very healthy for the brain. So if you do indulge, don't feel badly about it. Just incorporate some fasting, and you can erase some of the damage that's been done, and you can actually prevent more disease in the future. So it has a lot of health benefits, and it's actually one of the only things that has been proven time and time again to improve longevity or length of time, as well as not just quantity of health and life, but also quality. So it's a good thing to incorporate. I encourage everyone to read up on something called intermittent fasting and the science behind it.
That's really interesting. My grandfather used to fast every Monday. That was his thing. Now he did it as a spiritual discipline, but it's interesting that you mentioned that it's used for both ways. It can be used spiritually and also physically. So it's really a neat concept.
Absolutely. And if you have trouble fasting, there's things that you can do from a discipline standpoint. There's things that you can do to make it a little bit easier. There's some herbal appetite suppressants. You can drink hot tea. You can meditate. But it does give you, it's very interesting for those who've never tried it, it does give you a sense of peace and clarity that you can't get when you're eating carbs and processed foods during the holiday. Yeah, absolutely.
One thing I want to say about you, because I know you wouldn't share this, but you really practice what you're preaching. And you have 2 children, you have a full-time practice, but you find time to exercise. Because I know right now, people are like, I don't know if I need to go for exercise. I don't have time. That's what people say. And you make the time, and I want them, can you share a little bit about what you do?
Sure. So I don't have time not to exercise because I get so much more out of my day if I exercise. And I used to be an endurance athlete, and I wouldn't feel very good after I did a half Ironman, and
we did our first triathlon together.
Yeah, we did a triathlon together.
We did our first triathlon together.
A very long time, but I used to not feel invigorated after a really harsh workout, and now the science is starting to show us that endurance athletes suffer a great deal of inflammation, and it may not be long-term the healthiest thing for aging.
Yeah.
And if you are going to do endurance athletics, you need to focus on anti-inflammatory diet and things.
But one thing you do is, it's when you say exercise before we go, it doesn't have to be an hour. It can be 15, 20 minutes.
It's interesting. I'm in the best shape of my life.
Yeah.
I'm 46. I feel better than I did at 26.
Yeah.
But all I do is something called Peak 8 training, and that's PEAK, and you can read up on it online, but it's been very well researched, and it's very efficient exercise, and it's good for lowering insulin resistance, and it increases your metabolism the entire day, and it's how I keep my weight in check. And what I do, personally, it's any exercise you choose, such as swimming, running. I do the elliptical. You can do it on a recumbent bike. But what it is getting your heart rate up as high as you can for within a safe range for about 30 seconds. So the way you know you're at that place where you're getting the health benefits is you're going to feel a little bit of a burn in your legs, and you won't be able to carry on a conversation very well. You'll be very short of breath, and it will be a little bit of labor.
And what's great, though, is it's a short workout, and you can do it quickly.
It's 30 seconds.
Yeah,
right?
it's quick, and they can read more about you and on your website, and also these things that you talked about. It's great information.
Yeah,
it's something they can all do during the holidays.
There's a lot more information on my website at marycaremd.com.
Awesome. Thank you for being here.
Thank
you. Coming up, an inspirational message to remember as we move through this holiday season.
Hope for Tomorrow is sponsored by Stonegate Center, providing effective Christian drug and alcohol addiction treatment for men.
Welcome back to Hope for Tomorrow. Before the break, we were talking about our physical health, and we talked about emotional health and our spiritual health. I think they're also important and hard to balance during the holidays.
I agree. I agree. I think one key and takeaway that I want to really present is the idea of focus. that in this busy season, it's easy to lose your focus and focus on gifts and focus on, even family and friends too much. But we've got to find that balance. So find your focus.
Stay, not only focus, just stay in the present and don't let all the other stuff overwhelm you.
Right.
And here's the thing. We are going to have moments where we're going to be spiritually unbalanced, or I talked about the importance of our mental health, and it's the awareness part. We've talked about awareness on a lot of our shows, just being aware of what's going on in your life and stopping, focusing, and slowing down allows that opportunity.
That's right.
Because then you can make the changes. And maybe the change means, you know what, I need some help in this area. I need to see a therapist. It's my hope that they're seeing us as people that we're wanting to help and improve where they're coming from. And because sometimes people think of counseling as a little overwhelming, right?
Right, yeah. Definitely. Yeah, just to comfort, just understanding also there's not any particular technique that works. So the best way, if you're seeking help, is to find someone that you connect with, and that relationship that you build with your therapist is really the key to whether it's going to be effective or not.
Yeah. So there's a lot of support out there, and enjoy this season, and
That's
just
right.
enjoy the moment. Today's my anniversary, 16 years.
Happy anniversary!
Thank you.
That's
16
awesome.
years.
Wow! All right.
We could do a whole show on marriage, right? But and it's taking time to appreciate relationships in your life and slowing down and enjoying. You don't have to get your kids in 1,000 activities for the
That's
holidays,
right.
which we want to do, right? One activity is plenty. Anyway, well, I'm hoping people leave with hope.
Definitely,
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah, all righty. Well, thanks again for joining us. We would love your thoughts on some topics that you want to hear about. So go to Texas47.com and click on our link on the Facebook page.
And a special thanks to our sponsor, Stonegate Center, for supporting this show and the mission behind it.
Which is giving each of us hope for tomorrow. Did you hear that I spoke that?
Hope for Tomorrow is sponsored by Stonegate Center, providing effective Christian drug and alcohol addiction treatment for men.